On the programme now, we're going to take a close look at one of the few countries in the Middle East that is not currently embroiled in this war, Syria. France 24's Wassim Nasr with me in the studio, a Syria expert. You're somebody who's travelled several times to the country. We will talk in a moment, Wassim, about how it is that Syria so far has managed to stay out of this this kind of evolving conflict. But let's look initially at some internal dynamics in Syria. For months, the Syrian army has been trying to integrate Kurdish forces into their ranks. Lots of Kurdish groups pretty reluctant to do that. Give us an update. What's happening?
Well, actually, while everybody was busy looking somewhere else, things were really going well, if we may say so, in Syria regarding this dossier, meaning the integration of the Syrian Democratic Forces. So we have footage of Kobani, the very symbolic town of Kobani, where forces of the Interior Ministry are patrolling inside of the town. No shot was shot at this town, where everybody was imagining there will be a great battle or a big battle in Kobani. We also saw the people of Shuyukh, meaning the Arab inhabitants of Shuyukh, going back to their hometown after being 12 years away because of the war against the Islamic State and because the fact that they were kicked out by Kurdish factions at the time. So things are pretty going well, but still there are some problems on the way. We saw in Kamishli a few days ago, for example, because of a story about a flag, the Kurdish flag or the Syrian flag, Kurdish sympathizers of the Kurdish factions attacked the police forces in Kamishli, the police forces who belong to Damascus, actually. But as we speak, there was a big meeting in Aleppo, and we have the pictures of this meeting between Jihad Issa Sheikh, which is special envoy of President Shara for Klanic issues, with Kurdish representatives from Kobani. And actually, they met him at his Bakkara Madafa, as we say, but they also met the governor of Aleppo, as we see here. So things are being done smoothly in a way, and the President Shara, for the Fitr and for Nowruz, the Kurdish New Year, we have a picture here of him with the governors of Aleppo, Raqqa, but also the governor of Hasake, meaning Nuruddin Isa, which is a YPG who belonged to the YPG and was named by Shara as governor of Hasake. So at the same time, Sipan Hamo, a historic PKK figure who was fighting actually Damascus in Aleppo, in Der Hafel, and all along the war, the Syrian civil war, was named as deputy of the Minister of Defense of Syria, and he was the one who was outspoken against Iraqi militias who shot rockets at a former FOB, US FOB in Syria. So, and why is it important? Because Iran, a few months ago, and the Revolutionary Guard were trying to have their way with the Syrian Democratic Forces.
Okay, so Wassim, what you're talking about there is actually tentative good news when it comes to that integration of the Kurdish forces into the Syrian army. Take us, though, to Syria's external relations. You know, for weeks on France 24, really all we've been talking about is this Iran-Israel-US war. Iran, obviously, at the heart of it. We have Lebanon dragged in now, the Gulf countries, Iraq, not Syria, though. How do you explain that? And do you think Syria can stay out of this?
Well, we have to remember that Syria was first into this war, because the people who are in charge of Damascus today were fighting the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Syria since more than a decade. And you have a picture of Qasem Soleimani at the Iraqi border with Shia militias at the time who were fighting in Syria, and also a picture of him in Aleppo in 2016, because he led the military operations against the rebels at the time and the Nusra Front under Russian air cover and with the Iranians fighters on his side. So here he is in Aleppo in 2016. So today Syria is playing also a role, meaning by stopping weapons smugglings from Iraq and from Syria to Lebanon. And you have a picture of anti-tank missiles that were caught in the area of Nabak, meaning on the border between Syria and Lebanon a few days ago. And you're going to see a map where you see all the routes that were used by weapon smugglers. And why do I say smugglers? Because today, since the fall of Assad, weapons who are being transferred to Lebanon through Syria are not done for political reasons, meaning Assad, Iran helping Hezbollah. It's more of smugglers of weapons who are looking for income that are helping some of the weapons reach Lebanon. And I'll show you a footage I filmed myself last summer in Tadmur, Palmyra, and you will see the fortifications that were established by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in order to secure the roads in the Syrian desert, meaning between Iran, Iraq, the Syrian desert, and Lebanon. And the funny thing about this today, if we can say funny, is actually the US is trying to stop Shia militias in Iraq as we speak. And we have a footage of yesterday, maybe we can see it, of an A-10 US plane hitting Shia militias in Anbar in Iraq. So the same factions that were empowered during the war against the Islamic State, who contributed to this strategically blinding, as I like to say it, war on terror, and empowered Iran all over the region, are today fought by the US. And President Sharah said lately that the region is witnessing a shuffling that is unprecedented since World War II, and he himself told me back in April 2023 in Idlib that an Arab coalition will see the light from the GCC countries, because it is unlikely that Arab countries will accept Iran controlling 4 Arab capitals as it was at the time. And he lately called for a coalition between Arab countries to counter Iranian influence in the region, but still he is managing to keep Syria out of actually real fighting outside of its borders.
All right, really interesting. Thank you for your analysis. Wassim Nasr for us there.